Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23. I have already told you what the Lord Jesus did on the night he was betrayed. It came from the Lord himself. He took some bread in his hands. Then after he had given thanks, he broke it and said, "This is my body, which is given for you. Eat this and remember me." After the meal, Jesus took a cup of wine in his hands and said, "This is my blood, and with it God makes his new agreement with you. Drink this and remember me." The Lord meant that when you eat this bread and drink of this cup, you tell about his death until he comes. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to use for a subtopic, when memory becomes movement. When memory becomes movement. You may take your seat. When memory becomes movement. One of the most powerful moments on television that I can recall wasn't just entertainment, it was legacy. It was when the incomparable Viola Davis accepted her Academy Award. She said, "My father died in a dilapidated house, and he dreamed big, and so do I." She wasn't simply giving an acceptance speech, she was giving honor. Everyone say honor. She understood that her success was standing on the shoulders of someone who sacrificed before her. Her dream was the continuation of his vision. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what Vision Sunday is about. We're not just celebrating buildings, we're not celebrating budgets, we're not celebrating attendance. We're celebrating the faithfulness of God through generations. And if you know he's been faithful to you and yours, you ought to clap your hands right there. This morning, we are standing on the prayers, on the tears, and the obedience of those who believed before us. Someone's sacrifice paved the way for our opportunity and our existence. But the story doesn't end with them. It continues, likewise, even now with us. Like Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 says, "Write the vision and make it plain, so that he who reads it may run with it." And I don't know if you've ever considered, but God is still writing his story through you and I. He's calling us this morning to dream bigger, to give stronger, to serve more deeply, and to build on what will bless generations yet to come. Or as Paul declared in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 24, when Jesus broke the bread, he said, "Do this in remembrance of me." That every act of faith, every vision we carry forward is done in the remembrance of the one who gave everything for us. Remembrance, ladies and gentlemen, is not a passive reflection. It is active participation. We honor what God has done by serving, by giving, by building, by believing, so that future generations can experience his faithfulness. Theologian John Piper, he wrote, and I quote, "Life is wasted if we do not grasp the glory of the cross, cherish it for the treasure that it is, and cleave to it as the highest price of every pleasure and the deepest comfort of every pain. What was once foolishness to us, a crucified God, must become our wisdom and our power and our only boast in this world." What does that mean to you and I? It means that we're not remembering only what Jesus has done, but we are building a legacy that remembers him likewise. We're not just remembering what the Lord has done. We're recommitting to what he wants to do next. You're going to want to note this one. Why? Because when remembrance is real, it leads to response. When remembrance is real, it leads to response. And this is what Paul is reminding us of via the Holy Spirit in 1 Corinthians as he admonishes us to remember. Because even heaven knows that as humans, we have the propensity and the proclivity as creation to forget the gift of the Creator. All right? How many of you, sometimes you got to get on your children. You got to tell them what they already know, but they need to hear it again. If your children are like mine, they don't even need to hear it once. They got to hear it 7 times. I'm texting. I'm putting it on their door on a sticky note because I know it's in them to forget. But they won't forget if it was dinner time and there was no plate on the table for them. They wouldn't forget if everybody's going back to school and they had fresh gear, but they didn't. They wouldn't forget that. All of a sudden, what's going on? Well, why is it that you have such difficulty doing the simple things that I desire of you, but you expect for me to always move on your behalf? Hence, Paul reminds us, I know that you forget. You couldn't find your keys this morning. You were looking for your purse. That's why you were late. You always forget. But here's one thing you can't afford to get: the goodness and the favor of God on your life. So I will create a paradigm for you to always remember how good God has been. When you take of this bread and you drink of this cup, you ought to remember what the Lord has done. Now, let's have a conversation. So this is really what Paul is regurgitating, a conversation that Jesus has with the disciples as he's preparing to go to the cross. Jesus sits the disciples down at this beautiful Last Supper table, and he breaks the bread and gives them the wine. He says, drink of this, eat of this bread. It is my body broken for you. Drink of this wine. It is my blood poured out for you. And Paul regurgitates, he repeats a conversation that Jesus has with the disciples. But Jesus is repeating a memorial that was released to the children of Israel by way of the Old Testament. There was a thing called the Passover, that when the children of Israel had been taken captive and freedom was getting ready to come, that the Lord told them the death angel is coming over the land. And when the death angel comes, he kills everything in sight. But if you were to kill a lamb and put the blood of the lamb on your doorpost, when the angel sees the blood, he will pass over. That's what we call the Passover. So when the death angel comes and killing all the firstborn, but when you get up, you still hear your little man crying. He say, yeah, you're going to want to remember that, because what happened to them could have happened for you had it not been for me. I'm not talking to. Somebody needs to be reminded what happened to them could have happened to you had God not been so good to you, had favor not found you, had the goodness of God not rested on your home the way that it did. Somebody ought to lift your voice and say, thank you. I owe him that thank you. I owe him that thank you. So he says, all right, so this is what I did. And I want you to commemorate regularly what I did by the Passover. I want you to take bread and I want you to take wine to remember how the blood saved you. That was Old Testament. We now get into the New Testament. Jesus sits the disciples down and he takes a common practice and gives it to them in a new way. He says, listen, this bread that you take, this bread is a symbolism, not of the one who took over, but the one who took your place. That's the difference between Passover and crucifixion. Passover, he went over. Crucifixion, he stepped in. This is what we call substitutionary atonement. It is the only reason that you're here, because the Lord got you off, not because he released you, he just took your place. All right, can I give you one example? Happy Thanksgiving to you, by the way. Happy Thanksgiving. I felt chitlins right down my loins. Judge your mama, whatever. All right. All right, Thanksgiving's coming, and there's this story of this family and 2 girls. They're upstairs, and they just acting a fool. Mommy's in the kitchen getting Thanksgiving ready. Now, this take 30 days and 30 nights if they do it right. You understand what I'm saying? And so mommy's like, y'all better cut it out up there, girls. And they still doing all that crazy stuff. And mommy's like, y'all too loud up there. Cut it down. They still doing all that crazy stuff. And daddy says, come on, come here. He said, both of y'all. Now, if your mama got to get on you one more time, if I got to step in, you're not going to like what's happening. All right? Girls go back up to their room. They start going crazy again. Daddy says, come here. Who was it? All right? She says, it wasn't me, Daddy. It was Angela. Angela, was it you? Yes, Daddy, it was me. I want you to go up to your room and stay for the rest of the day. Did I tell you it was Thanksgiving? I want you to go up there and stay for the rest of the day. All right? It's time to eat. Mommy's like, everybody come down and get something to eat. And Daddy's at the table. Mommy's at the table. Younger daughter's at the table. Angela's up in the room. Angela, come down and eat. I can't come down. Daddy told me I got to stay. I was in trouble, and I'm paying my penalty. So because of the penalty, Angela can no longer enjoy Thanksgiving. But the father couldn't enjoy it either without his daughter being at the table. So Daddy goes up. Angela comes down. Mama, Angela, and the younger daughter are now enjoying Thanksgiving. And they're saying, where's Daddy? Daddy can't enjoy Thanksgiving. Why can't Daddy come down? Daddy took your place. Daddy couldn't change the penalty, but he can take it for you. The only reason you're eating because your father's not. Somebody ought to tell God thank you this morning, because the only reason you're here is because he paid a debt that he did not owe, and I owe a debt that I cannot pay. I needed someone, and he stepped in on my behalf. Somebody lift your hands and lift your voice and tell God thank you. If you know he took your place. So ladies and gentlemen, he took our place. So this is why, where Jesus now says, I want you to take this bread and I want you to take of this wine. This bread is now a symbolism of my body broken for you. I want you to take and eat. This blood is a symbol of my blood shed for you. I want you to take now and drink. So now, when we take of the Lord's Supper, we're not just thinking about a Passover. We're thinking of a takeover. The cross allowed him to go in so I could come out. Everybody with me? So Paul says, so I want you to do this regularly as a reminder of the favor and the goodness of God that rests on your life, because I know you. You will forget. When you get a little promotion on your job and your bundles get 3 inches longer, you're going to forget. You're going to be slinging, thinking it's all about you. It's not about you. The Lord provided that. The Lord made a way. The Lord moved on your behalf. Don't you dare forget. Tell your neighbor, I can't forget. I can't forget. Because when remembrance is real, it always leads to a response. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 26, Message translation. It says, what you must solemnly realize is that every time you eat this bread and every time you drink this cup, you reenact in your words and actions the death of the master. You will be drawn back to this meal again and again, because you forget, so we got to do it again and again and again until the master returns. You must never let familiarity breed contempt. You must never become so common with your Christ that his crucifixion is a part of your past and not your future. And some of us, when it comes to our walk with God, you are not lukewarm, you're just lazy because you forgot. When you get up in the morning thinking you woke yourself up, you just forgot. You just forgot. I ain't got time to pray. You're not evil, you just forgot. Here is my problem though. I want you to be careful with your forgetting, lest heaven be responsible for employing your reminder. Because sometimes it takes a layoff to remember how good he is. Sometimes it takes a breakup to remember how good he is. Sometimes it takes a government that's lost their ever-loving mind to remember how good he's been. And if he kept you through that, and if he kept you through furloughs, and he kept you through layoffs, he is a keeper. He is a keeper. Because I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. He makes ways. He opened doors. He moves on our behalf. How can I forget? Sit down. So we remember. Everyone say, we remember. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be careful not to become common with what you once passionately prayed for. All right? Let's put the cookies on the bottom shelf. Some of y'all came in here with fries in your car from the state fair in 2003. But you prayed for that car, and that car was a miracle. And how you have become common with your miracle. Some of you used to pray, Lord, I don't want to be by myself. Just send me somebody. And the Lord sent you somebody who is way above what you could have ever gotten on your own. When they walked up on you, your knees were ashy. Your ankles was dry. You didn't even have your hair done. And they talking about, hey, you cute. You know they lying. That was God. It was the veil over their eyes. Jesus did that. And now y'all been together for 20 years. You forgot the grace that gave you your good thing. What I am afraid of is even here at the City Church is we have become common in this space that we once prayed for. And now our miracle has been produced. We have now become common in what we once used to run around for. Lord, now that he's done it, I'll get there whenever I can. Yeah, I know little papers on the floor. Who cares? Somebody else will get it. No. We are standing in the midst, in the middle of a miracle. And how would I forget the goodness of God? So with this remembering, ladies and gentlemen, we must never let familiarity breed this contempt. Why? Because remembrance calls you to response, not relaxation. When you remember, it ought to make you want to do. Jesus said, do this in remembrance of me. Remembering Jesus means doing something with what he's done for us. Communion is not just about recalling his sacrifice. It's continuing in his mission. So what good is it for you to drink of the juice and to eat of the bread, only for you to go out and do the same thing you've been doing, which is nothing? But when I remember, it ought to make me move. It ought to move me away from relaxation to response. Lord, I owe you this, to be a conduit in the earth so somebody else can see your goodness through me. True remembrance results in renewed responsibility. So for us today, when we remember, to remember Christ means to serve like he served, to love like he loved, and to give like he gave. To remember Christ properly is to serve like he served, to love like he loves, and to give like he gave. For memory without movement is sentiment, but memory with faith becomes testimony. If I'm just moving on my feelings, it doesn't move me to do anything. But when my memory is activated by faith, a response ought to spill outside of me. So I want you to be careful, ladies and gentlemen, not to become common with what you once passionately prayed for. Because faith builds memorials for future generations. Someone say faith builds. Joshua chapter 4 verse 6 through 7 says, someday your children will ask, why are these rocks here? Then you can tell them how the water stopped flowing when the chest was being carried across the river. These rocks will always remind our people what happened here today. So when the children of Israel are getting ready to cross the Red Sea, they're stuck in between Pharaoh and the Red Sea. And then God comes to the sea and he allows Moses to extend his hand and the waters begin to part and they walk across on dry land. All right, one water miracle. Not long later, they come across the Jordan and they're in a likewise situation. Now, because they have memory, they're saying, Lord, do what you did last time. Sometimes the worst thing you can ask God to do is to do what he did last time. Because why would I do what I did last time when I'm doing something new in you? So while they're standing in front of the Jordan saying, we remember what you did at the Red Sea. He said, I did that at the Red Sea because you are not at the Jordan who you were at the Red Sea. The Red Sea stretched your faith. So why do I have to move the same way when you ought to believe me more deeply? So he said in the Red Sea, I told you when I part the water, I need you to move. At the Jordan, Joshua chapter 4, he says, when you move, then I'll part. When we walked across last time, we walked across on dry land. Now I need you to trust me even when you get wet. Boy, who am I talking to in the room? He says, I need you to put your feet in the water and still believe that God is able. And so when they stepped in, the water stopped flowing. They walked across. And when they got across, everybody's like, oh my God, he did it again. So what are we going to do? He's like, man, I'm about to go to the club. You know what I'm saying? It's been a minute. I'm about to go tell God thank you in the club. And they're just like, what are you going to do, Joshua? Joshua said, yeah, I can't go to the club. Not tonight, at least. He said, I can't. What you going to do? He says, I need to build an altar. I need to build a memorial. 2-part. My memorial is my appreciation for the favor and the hand of God moving and flowing in my life. Number 1. Number 2, maybe most importantly, my memorial is going to speak to generations even when I'm mute. Meaning when I'm dead and gone, my children and grandchildren for generations are going to have to cross these 12 stones. And they're going to say, what's going on with these 12 stones right here? You know what? I wasn't there, but Mama told me that story. Mama told me about a time they were stuck between a rock and a hard place, and God allowed them to step in the water, and the water stopped flowing until they went across freely. This is what these stones are a reminder. And because they made a memorial, it evangelized throughout all eternity to the next generation. The problem is, our children are only being evangelized at church because we don't have home memorials. Welcome to the 11 o'clock. So where and what do you have in your home set up as a reminder to anyone who lives there and or anyone who comes over that the goodness of God rests here? All right. So why are you walking in that favor? Because the Ark of the Covenant is here. The presence of God is here. And where the presence of God is, his grace, his oil, his power flows freely to those who are in need. Watch this. So why is this important? We saw that in Joshua chapter 4, where they're going through that particular Jordan River. We get to Joshua chapter 24, and it's this constant battle in the Old Testament where the children of Israel are just kind of going back and forth. It's kind of like some of your exes used to do in college and high school. I mean, they love you for 2 weeks and break up for 1. Love you for 3, break up for a month. Love you. I mean, it was just constant back and forth until you finally grew up. Like, I can do bad all by myself. You ain't all that anyway. I'm giving you an opportunity. You understand me? All right? All right? And so they're just vacillating, going back and forth. And this is what Joshua finally said. Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. We're just having fun right now. Joshua chapter 24, verse 15. Joshua says, listen, y'all. Listen. We done been through a lot. We've seen a lot. We've been introduced to a lot of people. I don't care what you do. I just want you to choose today whom you're going to serve. Whether it be the God of your ancestors, whether it be some strange God we just met in one of these lands, I don't care what you do. I just want you to make a decision. Watch this. But as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. We're going to serve the one who brought us through that and brought us through this. We're going to honor him with our sacrifice. Now, this is why it's important. When we hear, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. I don't know if you're like me. When I hear that, all I hear is you going to church today. I don't want to go to church. As for me and my house. That's all we hear. No. Joshua was making a conscious decision unconsciously even for his children. He said, until they're able to choose for themselves, I'll decide for them. Everybody under this roof is going to serve the God of the Bible. He made a conscious decision. Why is this important? Because whether you make a decision consciously or unconsciously, directly or indirectly, a decision has been made. He said, as for me and my house, directly, consciously. But there were others who didn't say nothing. But even when they said nothing, they said a lot. All right. So why is this important? Because of Joshua's decision, his children ended up eating off of the table that he prepared for them. He made a decision consciously and directly. But there were also those who made an unconscious, indirect decision by not making a decision at all. And their children ate off the table that they prepared. Whatever it was. They are eating in the place that their parents' indecision made for them. So I got a question to ask you. What are your children eating today? What have you prepared on the table to which they're eating by your direct and or indirect decision making about God? We say, as for me and my house, but do your children see you reading the Bible at all? How often do they hear you pray? They will never repeat what they don't see. It's a direct, indirect, unconscious decision. So we need to become more involved to making direct decisions in the life of our seed to affect their posterity for generations to come. Are you hearing me at all? I got like 11 minutes and I'm going out of here. The Bible says this in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 5, as you come to him, the living stone, rejected by humans, but chosen by God and precious to him, you also, like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood, offering spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. Why is this? We always hear about the chief cornerstone. But in addition to Jesus being the chief cornerstone, he says, but not only am I the chief cornerstone, but you are also living stones. Your life should be a living monument of the goodness and the favor of God in and over your life. So when people see your life, the altar you have created and or the lack thereof, what does it speak concerning the hand of God that's been over your life? Does your life speak appreciation or does your life speak entitlement? Because you never tell people thank you for stuff you expect them to do. All right? Has anybody ever had your mother like, I need somebody gonna give me some thanks for cooking today? Mom, I think the law kind of says you're supposed to do that, Ma. I think the law kind of says you should, but somebody's supposed to give me some appreciation. Mama, you kind of had us. We didn't have you. Yeah. We didn't have you. I mean, it is a bit of entitlement, yet it is also responsibility. And as we do sometimes with our parents, so we also do with our Heavenly Father. Did you tell God thank you this morning? He's God. He was supposed to wake me up this morning. Did you tell God thank you this morning? He's God. He was supposed to keep his hand over my children. Did you tell God thank you this morning? He's God. He was supposed to make a way when I couldn't see a way. That's what we call entitlement. Until you finally grow up and realize you ain't grown after all. Kids, I can't wait to get out of here. All of a sudden they get to college. Can I come home this weekend? Nope. Kitchen closed. Entitlement. Yep, oodles and noodles for you. Everybody with me? Why is this important? It's important because faith doesn't just celebrate the miracle. It builds something that tells the story. And the City Church stands today because somebody remembered God's faithfulness and responded with faith, with service, and sacrifice. Every chair, every baptism, every soul won, every partner. This is a stone of remembrance. And the reality is, as a ministry, we are not interested in building monuments to ourselves, but we do want to build memorials towards God. And every time we serve, we give, we build. We're stacking stones that tell our city, God met us here. Because remembrance ought to impact your future. So for some of you, when you go down Beach Street and you roll by the auditorium at Goldsboro High School, you just see a building that's aging and a campus where the attendance is, and you feel this sense of like, what is the city doing? What is the county doing? What is going on over here? That might be what you feel, and some of that is rightful. For some others, when I go down Beach Street and I see the auditorium at Goldsboro High School, I see almost 8 years of God's faithfulness. When we worshiped in that auditorium, that in many times swallowed us up, but God brought us and he kept us and he preserved us. Because of my memory, it impacts what I see and how I respond to it. So when I was younger, my grandmother, she used to keep me at her daycare. It wasn't certified. It's just what grandmothers did back then. Somebody like, I need a grandmother like that today. She like, not me. living my best life. I need a grandmother like that today. And when I used to go to my grandma's house, she stayed in, well, during my tenure, for the most part, she stayed in Lincoln Homes. Now, Lincoln Homes bring back memories for me. When I was younger, didn't have a lot, but when we used to go outside and the fire hydrant was on and everybody just playing in the water, that meant something to me. When you used to go on the sidewalk and play hopscotch, that meant something to me. Our communities were more peaceful when we gathered together to double dutch. We ought to host double dutching competitions in all of our local communities. It's evangelism. It's an outreach opportunity. Lincoln Homes meant something different to me when my grandmother, again, I'm in daycare. She just sent me to the store to go over there. And you remember, I don't know if it was Bob's or George's right over there behind Lincoln Homes. They used to have candy they don't have no more. They used to go over there and get now and laters. Now and later. Laffy Taffies, Boston baked beans, lemon heads. Used to go, you ain't got no hair on your chest if you ain't never smoked no candy cigarette. I'm out there like, I'm blowing O's. I just need you to know, I've never smoked a day in my life. I just watch a lot of TV. That kind of felt real, didn't it? Anybody got a light? All right. So my grandma, she used to send me over there to the corner store. I need you to go over there. I need you to go over there. I need you to get me a Pepsi. I need you to get me some nabs. And I need you to get me a pack of peanuts. She'll give me like $1.50. Now today, what am I going to do with this? Give me $1. I used to bring back a Pepsi, bring back some peanuts and a pack of nabs. And it was automatic. Don't even take the Pepsi to her right now. She don't want it right now. It's got to go in the freezer for at least like 30 minutes. It's not going to freeze, but it needs to chill. It needs to have a little imbalance of ice glaze and liquid fluid. And then when it's ready, you take it to her, you take the top off, she'll tear her peanuts, pour the peanuts. You don't know nothing about no Pepsi if you ain't had no peanuts in your Pepsi. Grandma used to pour them peanuts in that Pepsi, and she used to go to town. That's what Lincoln Homes meant to me, you understand? Now that I'm older, when I go by Lincoln Homes, now I see Poplar Street. Now I see Dillard Alumni Building. And now it means something totally different to me. It is a symbol of a building that some people said wasn't much coming out of it. And look at what God produced even through us to sustain us in that season, on the side of a track that many people said some of y'all would never come to. The whole while you were coming, I knew you had your gat in your purse. I knew it. I knew it. Certified, uncertified, legal or not. If it made you safe, come on. Come on. Come on, bring it. Y'all come to the altar. I'm like, no, you stay by your bag. Stay by You stay by your bag. When I go to the movie theater, as a matter of fact, November 7th, I want you to make sure that you go to your movie theater. I want you to make sure you go and see a movie called Sarah's Oil. Phenomenal movie. My wife and I, we were invited to a movie premiere last weekend. We went to Raleigh, saw the movie. Phenomenal movie about our history, a true story. Beautiful. Your children can even enjoy it. They're going to be impacted. It's a phenomenal movie. I want you to go and see it. But when I go to premiere theater and I see y'all in that concession line, me and my family walking right by. Can we get popcorn? Just left the house. Going on. You got Oreos, Chips Ahoy, all at the house. You got High C, you got Yoo-Hoo, everything you want right there at the house. Why are we going to buy this when we got to keep on moving? And when I go to the movie theater now, every now and then, I'm walking by certain theaters and I'm remembering, man, we had church in that theater right there. We had some good worship in that. It is this memory. And because of that memory, it impacts how I live. So on Thursday night, while I'm making my way up to Southeast Raleigh, that ride was different than the first time I rode over to Goldsboro High School. That ride was different. When I went over to Goldsboro High School for the first time, I went with a wonder. When I went to Southeast Raleigh this Thursday, I rode with an expectation. I went with an expectation because God and I have a history. 'Cause, 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 'c And because his credit report proves him faithful, I'm willing to go out on a limb for him because I've seen him move. I've seen him do it. I've seen him open up doors and make ways on my behalf before. So when we remember, why we remember, and as a result of our remembering, we serve. Everyone say serve. So why do we serve? We serve because he first served us. He gave of everything for us. He made the ultimate sacrifice for us. And so it should be easy. It should be a part of your DNA to come into the house of God and find a place to give back because somebody gave so much for you. The first time you came into this room, somebody made an ultimate sacrifice. Some of our assistants are over right now with your children making the ultimate sacrifice. You over here having a good time, cackling and such, like you ain't got no children. You done forgot half of the kids ministry is going to be in your minivan on the way out of here. Your whole family in there, all right? And somebody is making an ultimate sacrifice for you. So the least you can do is pay it forward. Somebody say pay it forward. Nudge your neighbor, say, what ministry you serve with? What ministry you serve with? Look back for an answer. Look back for an answer. If they scared to look at you in your eyes, they don't serve. They don't. If they won't look at you in your eyes, they don't serve. The proof is in the pudding. So because of his faithfulness for us, ladies and gentlemen, we serve. We serve. Not only should we serve, number two, we give. We give. Why do we give? We give because he gave. John chapter 3, verse 16, for God so loved the world that he gave. Giving is the language of love and faith. We don't give to pay God back. We give to pay it forward. Our generosity builds memorials and monuments that preach louder than our words ever will. Sometimes through the course of the week, I'm out in public and I might stop somewhere and get a quick breakfast, go to one of the country spots where I'm not really going to be recognized too much. And I'm over there chilling sometimes by myself. There was a time when I used to look at people out in public eating by themselves, and I used to be like, I'm so sorry for her. That must be hard. I'll be having a good time right now. If my wife can't come with me, you still gonna go? I'm hungry. Is they open? I got $7. It's about to go down today. I'm going to get me something to eat. And all of a sudden, oftentimes, I'm not being facetious, but it often happens like this. I might see a group of small, little, older white women. And they come by my table. They're like, hey. I'm like, hey, God bless you. Just being nice. I'm just being nice. And they're like, we know you. I said, no, ma'am, I don't think we went to school together. I think you were ahead of me, mother. They like, no, I think I've seen your picture before. I'm like, okay, oh my God. They're like, you the pastor of that church over there off the highway, aren't you? The old car dealership. I say, yes, ma'am. You got me. Found me. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, I love what you guys are doing. Here's the testimony. That building was vacant for so long. And I wondered if anything good would ever come out of it. Now when I ride by, I see what you guys are doing. And every time I ride by your building, I'm praying that God completes the work. So this campus is more than a place for us to gather. This is a monument to the faithfulness of God because people saw it and people remember, but people are now seeing it and now they know it had to have been God. Only God could do something like that. So not only, ladies and gentlemen, do we serve, and not only, ladies and gentlemen, do we build, but as I leave you alone, should we give, but we should also build. We build because he's still building. He's still building. Matthew 16, verse 18. I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Building a church is how we keep remembrance alive. The church is God's memorial to grace in every generation. That when we build his house, he obligates himself to build ours. So though we have become comfortable and somewhat content with what we're sitting in, there's still so much more that has to be done. There's a multi-purpose wing that still has to be finished. There's a children wing that still has to be finished. There's a building that still has to be painted and flags on the light poles and somebody grabbing their checkbook. I feel it in my sha-na-na right now. Yeah, go ahead and write that for $150,000 right now. I feel it. I feel it. Why is this important? Because the reality is we're not consumers of church. We're constructors. As a believer, you should not merely be a consumer. You should be a construction worker. When I go to church, I'm building something. All right. So it's date night. You and your man going out to something special. He got you looking flawless, top to bottom. He's stepping out in his gaiters. He's got his shirt buttoned down a little bit like Miami Vice, little hair coming out, and you like it. Right? I mean, he take you to a crazy restaurant. He like, baby, go ahead, get that porterhouse on me. You like porterhouse today, right? Y'all eating good. Everything good. Had a great time. And then the bill comes. He's like, oops. I forgot. I ain't got nothing to put down on this. You're like, baby, how you bring me out here? We eat all this food, and you ain't had no money. What's supposed to happen? First of all, you're about to get locked up. That's what's about to happen. And he looks over that table, say, grab your bag and run now. What type of ghetto mess is this? Some clown take you to a fancy restaurant, let you eat good, and when the bill comes, tell you to run. Somebody say, lock him up. Lock him up today. I don't know if you've considered it. Half your row should be locked up. You come in here every weekend, eat that good. And when it's time to pay it forward, run! Grab your purse. Let's go. But you should sow where you grow. You should seed where you feed. It's pretty simple. And this is how this works, ladies and gentlemen. So as God is calling us to another level of service, he's calling us to another level of giving. He's calling us to another level of building, not just for what it's going to do for us, but what it's going to say as long as we're here. Don't worry about that one. As long as we are here, there's more coming. You do know that, right? There's bigger coming. There's more coming because more of them are coming. As long as we're here, every time somebody rides by this building on the highway, this space becomes a memorial and a monument of the goodness of God towards us. So the Bible says in Genesis chapter 8, verse 20, then Noah built an altar to the Lord. Verse 21, the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and said in his heart, never again will I curse the ground because of humans. And never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. Here we go. Noah's been prophesying it's going to rain. I got to build an ark. Y'all come help me. They're like, rain? What is that? It's going to flood. Flood? What is that? We need to build a boat. Boat? What is that? And why do we need one? They are calling him crazy. Until the flood came. Until the doors on the ark were closed. And now those who could have got in freely are beating on closed doors. All right, I want to ask you a question. Should you feel bad for people who are beating on closed doors? You had a chance. You had an opportunity. The message came your way and you didn't receive. You are where you are because you chose to be there. Some of you relationally need to be careful with that because people are manipulating you because they are in a season that they picked when you gave them a chance to pick better. What you can't afford to do is to make life teach you the lesson I would have gave you freely. So now that the flood has receded, they're coming down from the ark. Everybody's coming out like, oh my God. His cousins, nieces, nephews, they're like, it's about to be lit. We on the ground again. So what y'all gonna do, man? I'm about to go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Got the Dodgers game tonight. I'm gonna go check that out. We're gonna have a great time. What are y'all gonna do tonight? I think I'm gonna go home, watch some ESPN. I'm gonna figure out what's going on the first take with Stephen A. Smith. That's what we're about to do. It's like, Noah, what you about to do? I'm about to stay right here for a second. Because after what God just brought us through, there ain't no way in the world I can just act like this is normal. He said, this is what I need. I need 12 stones. I need 12 stones. I need to create a monument. Number one, an appreciation for what God did. Number two, to be able to tell the story when I can no longer tell it myself. This is what I'm choosing to do. His first response when he came out of the ark was to build a monument. And watch this. The Bible says he built the monument. It then goes to chapter 9, verse 1. And the Bible says, and God blessed Noah and his sons. Everybody see that? God blessed Noah and his sons. Noah lifted a degree of appreciation and thanksgiving unto God. And his sons ate of the seed. Noah said, Lord, thank you. And his sons were blessed because of his father's praise. When you honor God faithfully, there is a blessing of grace, goodness, and favor that even flows to your children in seasons in which they are unaware. But one day they're going to be able to make sense of it because of the monument. Tell me this story. How many stories of the goodness of God in your life and in your family's life do you have to share? How many stories are you holding on to? Tell somebody to tell the story. So here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. A leader gives vision, yet his or her team determines the speed. Let's go, guys. A leader gives vision, yet his or her team determines the speed. Why is this important for us? Because we're in a season where vision must be expedited. It's got to start moving faster. It's got to start moving faster. Somebody say faster. I can give you the vision, but you determine the speed. And ultimately, the speed is determined upon how you vote. I don't know, we're not Baptists, but you still vote. You vote every weekend. You vote by way of your attendance, and you vote by way of your giving. So when you don't show, you say, anyway, I watch too many movies. When you don't give, somebody crazy. When you don't give, you say, I don't believe. I don't believe in what God is doing here. I don't believe God's hand is on this at all, much at all. Some of you, if I might be honest, some of you would love to give more. You just don't have the means presently. Can I have another conversation with you, though? Some of you are struggling financially, but there is a financial health small group, and you're not in it. Can I pastor you for a moment? You're struggling in your marriage, but there's a marriage small group that you're not in. But you're going to call me on Tuesday and say, we need help. Help was here. Why do I got to do again what you refused the first time? We're creating space for you to get everything that you need. But if you don't commit, you can't complain. Are you with me? So with our commitment, there also comes a degree of communion. That in my communion, it is me commemorating, memorializing, taking in remembrance of the work of Jesus Christ upon the cross at Calvary. But when I remember, it's not just an act of the past. It's an activation of his power towards my future. And this is why we partake today. I want you to stand on your feet with me as we prepare ourselves to receive of our Holy Communion today.